Yes.
I mean, just traffic everywhere.
Unless you're from Los Angeles, then you can turn around and say, "Bitch, shut the fuck up."
That's about the only group of people that can drive here and be okay with it.
Oh, definitely. When I go down there, I come back, I'm like, "Oh, this is heaven."
Right. Thank God I'm back in Phoenix.
Yeah. Then
But
a day or two later, I'm like, "Oh, fuck this shit."
fuck you, get the fuck out of the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, it just made the drive a little bit better, a little less stressful.
Yeah.
And I don't know,
Well,
it was just the way the storyline, it just, it had some twists and turns. Some twists and turns I wasn't expecting, others I were.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
You,
And
when we first started talking, I thought we were gonna spoil it, but I kind of don't want to spoil it.
yeah, I don't want to. I want you as a listener. I want you to go check it out. I want you to feel what we felt, because this is completely different than a movie. Because in a movie we all see the same thing, but in this,
Yes.
we hear the same thing. But in your mind, it's how you want it to be. How I want characters to look is how they are, and that's different for you.
It's funny
Which is
because
one of the things that makes this so awesome.
one thing that I'm gonna say, when I first started listening, my picture of Wolverine was Hugh Jackman. But as the story progressed, and they describe that he's a short man, and they're like short, stocky, whatever. My my image of Wolverine started shifting more towards, I don't know, a comic book, not comic book, but like not necessarily Hugh Jackman anymore.
Oh, yeah. I like Hugh Jackman. I don't know if I've said this before. I like Hugh Jackman. I do. I think he's one of the greatest actors in the world today, or ever, in fact. But in my personal opinion, and please don't vilify me too fucking much, I never cared for him as Wolverine. I thought he did the best he could with what he had and who he was. With who he was. It will. I'm sure it will. But I'm one of those, like, I believe Wolverine was a, 5'5", 5'7" kind of a character, fucking stocky as fuck. You know what I mean? Like that fucking Eastern European, just fucking brute. You know what I mean? Okay. And with these big mutton chops with a fucking deep growl, more of a growl when he talked, kind of a thing, and sinewy muscles.
I mean, back when they started doing this, and Hugh Jackman's defense, not that he needs it, but all I'm saying is, you have to remember the whole superhero mutant thing was almost 20 years ago. It was very experimental, so they had to make it sexy in order to.
Oh, and I completely agree with them. They did what they needed to do. You want to sell movie tickets to a comic book movie? Put Hugh Jackman in it. Period.
Yeah, well, back then, I mean, and I remember he was catching a lot of flack because I guess he was more of a romantic comedy actor.
Yep.
So the idea of him as this tough guy.
Oh, and a Broadway actor.
Yeah. So when I heard that, I was like, okay. And he's playing Wolverine, and he pulled it off. I liked it. I mean, I like what he did for Wolverine.
Yeah, I don't want to discredit him at all. I don't. I think he did a wonderful job for what he was given. But when you take a character such as Wolverine, in my case, Wolverine, out of any Marvel comic book, Wolverine is number one. That is my favorite character. Mm-hmm. And so you take something I have loved and looked at in the comic books for, 30 years?
Yeah.
And then you have somebody that looks almost nothing like him play him. It was a hard pill for me to swallow.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, well, now that it's cool to do superhero movies and shit like that, maybe they can go back to basics now.
I hope so. I think they did a good job on a lot of the other characters.
Yeah.
But it was just one of them things. It was just a personal thing. But yeah, in my mind, Wolverine looked a lot more.
Well, like I was telling you, when I first started listening to the podcast, I mean, I could see Hugh Jackman whenever Wolverine was talking, and interacting. Uh, at first, as the story, I moved on and progressed, or whatever you want to call it, I started seeing Wolverine the character. And you're right. This thing has a couple twists there that was not expecting.
Right.
And as much as I'd love to spoil it, I mean, as a podcaster, I can't do that to another podcast.
Right.
And I want you to go check it out. It's an easy listen, half hour.
Yeah.
Like I said, you turned me on to this a couple days ago.
Yeah.
In fact, I thought it was only iTunes, but I got it on Google Play, and I started listening, and I couldn't stop until I know lifed all 10 episodes.
Yeah, see, I didn't know Life It because I was turned on to another podcast. And so I've been going back and forth between the two.
Well, I'm always listening to other stuff. I mean, but what I'm saying is, for some reason, this one took my attention. I was like, yeah, the cool thing about podcasts is that they're there. You can go back and listen to them.
Right.
So, yeah, we'll let you cheat on us.
Yeah, this one, there's one other podcast you can cheat on us with, but that's it. Only those two. No one else, because we're just fucking awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
And with listening to Wolverine, I found myself kind of thinking about it, which is something I don't normally do with TV shows. Mm-hmm. Like when I wasn't listening to it, I was kind of thinking about it, like, not necessarily thinking about the story, but thinking about the characters and putting a little more detail into my vision of the characters in my mind.
Yeah.
And what they would look like, and what were they wearing, and what did the town look like?
Surrounding areas to where they were,
Yeah. What did this town look like? What did who did this person look like? Who did that person look like? Or what did they look like? I'm sorry. And it was fucking awesome. It really, really was.
Yeah, it was like I said, for me, last couple of days I couldn't put it down, so it was this vivid motion picture I had in my brain the entire time, and it describes. Obviously, it takes place in Alaska, so you can imagine the wilderness up there. Obviously being cold,
right, and the snow falling, and yeah.
And yeah, it's got a lot of wow. Well, like I said, we can't get into it without spoiling it. So
right.
So yeah, here we are giving props, and no, but by the way, they're not giving us any kind of. We're not making a dime here. We're basically giving props and promoting this podcast as fans, basically.
Right, where props should be given.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, a total fan right here. Not because, there's no money being exchanged. We don't even know the guys. I mean, obviously, they're Marvel, and they're working with some high-caliber talent.
Pretty big names. Right. So, I got another podcast I'd like to give a little bit of credence to, if you don't mind. One that I've been turned on. Did you... You're about my age. Did you ever watch Reading Rainbow on television when you were growing up?
Yeah, but you don't have to take my word for it.
Bingo. Butterflies in the sky. Right? Anyways.
Twice as high or something. I don't know. I can't remember.
Somewhere along the line, I came across an article with LeVar Burton, the host, Geordie LaForge himself.
Yes.
And he was talking about a podcast and how he was hoping to be able to do one. But he wasn't exactly sure on the format of it. Because as much success as Reading Rainbow had, he wanted to branch off a little. He wanted to, that was a huge portion of his life. He really loved it. It holds a special place in his heart. But he wanted to do something different.
Okay.
So what he decided on was to continue with the fans he already had, or at least hope to bring them on board.
Yeah.
By doing a podcast where he's reading short fiction.
Oh, nice.
It's just it's just LeVar Burton reading a half hour to an hour long short story, and every story is different. The subject matter is different on every single one of them, but every single story he reads is one that he personally has already read and liked. He chooses every single one of them.
Okay.
And every now and then he'll have, every couple of, he'll have maybe a piano, somebody playing piano there, or maybe somebody playing a flute or something, just accompanying music.
Background music. Nice.
Right. Absolutely fucking mesmerizing. Every story. I mean, do I like every single story? I mean, is this something I would have read? Probably not. But because Jordy's reading it, I will listen to it, and then I find myself just enthralled.
Isn't it funny? There are certain characters or certain actors out there that when you hear them speak, I mean, like, I remember back in the day, we're talking the Bible, James Earl Jones.
Right.
There was something about listening to the Bible in Darth Vader's voice.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just entranced. You can't not listen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I stop listening, Darth Vader's going to put a choke on me.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
And a couple of the episodes he does live, which is mind-boggling because I have a hard time just speaking, let alone trying to read and fucking and in front of people. But he does it live, and then he'll interview.
Oh yes.
The author.
Oh, okay.
Which the last one I was listening to, the author was like, "Wow, you just took my story to a whole different place," which is kind of like what we were talking about when you listen to Wolverine. Yes. You take these characters to a different place, a different area, a different land place, different terrain,
Oh, dude, it was an eye-opener for me in many ways, not just the fact that I enjoyed having this, like I said, this motion picture playing in my head, where you're right, I decide what the characters look like, because other than Wolverine, we don't know anybody else from that story, so we are using our brain. Wow. And imagining the colors, the way the hair, the agent lady, what
right.
she should look like.
What was she wearing? Was Wolverine wearing jeans, or was he wearing, overalls?
Was he in yellow spandex?
Right. Everybody's different. Was he wearing the blue ones, or was he wearing the brown ones?
For me, quite honestly, I still kind of gave him the Hugh Jackman black leather jacket, jeans kind of look.
See, in my mind, Wolverine was more of a lumberjack. Remember that one movie he did where he was a lumberjack, and he was wearing jeans and a flannel.
Gosh, what that? Okay, I can't think of the name of that one, but that's where Deadpool is first introduced, right?
Yeah. And he I don't know, for some reason Wolverine had more of a reddish tint to his hair in my mind. Kind of I don't want to say a full on ginger, but he had a little bit more of a sandy blonde or sandy brown, kind of a
brownish, yeah.
I don't know.
Reddish.
Almost like a Tom Hardy, like a really older, a much older and grizzled Tom Hardy kind of look.
I knew you were going there, motherfucker.
That's kind of how it was in my mind, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean,
it sounded like Tom Hardy, but
Hugh Jackman kind of said one time that he wouldn't mind seeing Tom Hardy take on the mantle.
Listen, if Tom Hardy looked like he did in the movie Warrior for Wolverine,
you showed me that.
Fuck. Holy fuck.
And when I saw him jump that guy and just beating the crap out of him, I could picture, I'm like, yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that one scene sold me on him playing Wolverine, like, dear God.
Hugh Jackman said that he wouldn't mind passing the mantle, seeing Tom Hardy do it. And, of course, Tom Hardy's Venom right now.